in the country. So your profession can create alcoholism in you. Also stress. When we have stress, we tend to seek out a drink. The drink will dampen the emotions that we tend to have, or the dissonance, the cognitive dissonance that we have, the conflict in our mind. It dampens it. But when the alcohol wears off, the problem is still there. Alcohol is not a solution for some of your problems.
Yes.
So these are some of the factors that can cause alcohol. These are some of the symptoms. The tolerance and, of course, the physical dependence are the serious ones.
All right, I'm going to just change a little bit from talking about the alcoholic. I want to talk about what happens to the people that live with the alcoholics. How do they deal with the effects from the person that's drinking and how their reactions towards them? Is there a way to cope with living life every day with someone who drinks every day? What would you say? How would that person, how could you help someone out there, some of our viewers that may be experiencing this at this moment, living with an alcoholic, and they want to get that person help, but that person does not want the help, and they have to live with that person because they love that person. And you know, it's a lot of different reasons why we do what we do. But how would you help that person? What would you say? The person living with alcoholic.
Well, I look at what my mother did. My father was an alcoholic. I don't believe that the 5 children realized that he was an alcoholic until we were grown. So I think one of our coping mechanisms was to ignore it. We left it alone. We didn't acknowledge it. And I believe that my mother tried to do that as well. And I think what we're hearing here today is that ignoring it is not an effective way of changing it. And I heard what Earlene said. She literally took her son to an AA meeting. It does kind of sneak up on you. I think, as Ram explained, it's a step-by-step. And it's sort of like the frog in the frying pan. The flame is on, the water's cool. As the water gets warm, the frog doesn't realize it, so he doesn't jump out. The longer he stays, he gets fried. And that's what happens, I believe. So what do we do is the most important question. So the first thing is not to just stand by, but we become desensitized.
And we cover up too. We cover up.
We become what alcoholics say, enablers.
Yes.
And we don't even know we're enablers.
Ashamed of
Very
it.
true.
And then we get ashamed of it. When we do come to the point where we realize we're doing it, then we're ashamed. And by the way, that prevents us from doing something. And so a very important piece is to recognize it and then to take an action.
Seek out help.
With my son, I enabled him, unfortunately, for years and didn't realize I was enabling him. I rescued him. My God, did I rescue him? And finally, he went from one thing to another, and then I found drugs in my house.
Oh, God.
And I ultimatum him. I said, you can take whatever you want out of this house immediately, and in 24 hours, I want the rest of your things out of your house, out of my house.
That must have been very hard for you to just do that. Wow.
Only God gave me the strength to do it, because he went to a motel room and drank himself into practically a coma. He was so inebriated, he couldn't move. And fortunately, he had a girlfriend who went over and brought him food and helped to talk to him. But within the 24 hours, I recognized he wasn't going to do it. So again, it was talking with a support person. In this case, it happened to be a niece, or it happened to be the girlfriend. It wasn't even my brother, my sister, my mother, my father. It was an outside person who had a better perspective than I was certainly having, and than anybody else. And P.S., the family becomes anesthetized also. The family is not always able to help you.